Hi everyone, and welcome to the Mel Hurry Show. I know it's been a while. It's now February 2024. I think it's a little bit too late to say Happy New Year, but I'm hoping you're having a good start to your 2024 already. So today I would like to welcome Keith Sharmone Preddie. So for those of you that might have watched my film How It Is, and if you haven't, why not? You would have noticed Keith was actually one of the cast members on the film. Not only am I obviously going to talk to him a little bit about that, I mean, obviously we're not going to spend the whole time talking about the film. However, I've actually invited him to talk about some great initiatives that he is currently working on and has been for quite a while now, as well as a bit about his background. So Keith, I would like you to welcome to the Mel Hurry Show, the first one for 2024. So it's an honor to have you as a guest.
Well, what can I say? Thank you very much for inviting me onto your wonderful show and to be the first of 2024. Wow, I'm humbled. Thank you.
Excellent. So you're currently a facilitator as well as a member of the Black Men's Consortium. Can you tell us a little bit about the Black Men's Consortium and also how you got involved?
Okay, well, the Black Men's Consortium was founded by an amazing person called Tony Seeley back in 2018. And it was kind of like he works around mental health and he's very creative about bringing those people with mental health and diversity into the theatre. So you could create something from your mind, body, and your soul. And that's what he's been doing in Brixton. Plus, also he's gone out into Europe and doing that. I got involved about 3 weeks just before the lockdown of COVID, unfortunately. I basically, as an actor on my actor's webpage, was looking for certain roles and whatnot. And he posted about real life therapy drama to do with suicide prevention. And as I have had two family members that have passed away through committed suicide, it was something that touched my heart. So we engaged in conversations, and I went along to his workshop, and that was actually 2021, I believe it was. And I've been there ever since. And basically, what it is, it's a safe, vulnerable space for men of color to come along. There are no females. It's a completely male orientated environment, and it's a kind of drama therapy session. People come there who have mental health. People come there who have not got mental health. And what we tend to do is, and what I've been doing is, we have real life scenarios that happen in everyday walks of life. It could be to do with relationships. It could be to do with gang culture. It could be to do with parenting, mental health, suicide ideation, alcohol, drug abuse. And these are things that are happening in everyday life. When you walk down the street, 5 out of 10 people will have some form of mental health or something going on in their life. And the thing about Black men or men of color, they don't tend to open up a lot because they're not in the right environment. And the BMC, the Black Men's Consortium, is the perfect environment where men come along, and it's been going now since 2018. We're now 2024. It's free, so it's been going for 6 years. And it's on a Monday evening between 6 and 9:30, and we have an open door policy. So you can come 1 week and not come for 6 months and come back in again. And what we're going to do is, from the things that we see that are happening probably in and now, we take that, create a show from that. So, for example, our last show last year was to do around climate change, because that was one of the biggest things. And we've done a show at the Brixton House in Brixton, so around the climate change, but ideally still around mental health.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah, and obviously, you know, things that obviously that you can relate to that naturally would have affected you, you know, having had that experience of course, family members that have unfortunately committed suicide, but also that that kind of community build must be really apparent, because the fact that it's an open door policy, and also it's, you know, it's open to everyone, that even if they are just feeling low or they've got something that is really going on, that just to have that open door policy it must feel quite enriching to be part of that, especially as a male and a man of color.
Yes, we just started back 2 weeks ago, and obviously when Tony's been away doing some work abroad, and he's come back, and we have our regulars, and we also have new men that turn up. It's great. And one person that turned up again for the second time yesterday had said to me, or said to us in the group, that when he came last week, because he was curious about what is this advert, what is it about, and he sat there last week and he said yesterday that he did not get involved at all, because you don't have to get involved in the workshops and the drama stuff that we do and the conversations. And he sat there thinking, goodness gracious me, I'm seeing grown men in a vulnerable space, jump up and down, get into character, doing things that maybe children would do.
Yeah, so they're able to so kind of like to open up and just be vulnerable with each other.
Yeah, they could sit there for 3 hours, get free tea and coffee and biscuits and croissants and whatnot, or you can get engaged. And what we also have is an outside what's we're looking for. So we have the group session on a Monday, but outside of the group sessions, if you sign up to the WhatsApp group, if you're feeling that you just want to talk to somebody, you can reach out to us founder members also outside of the session. Because like I said, we are supporting and working with some people with severe mental health, and some people who are just feeling a bit low, feeling a bit depressed, or for whatever's going on in their life, they can still contact us outside of the group and just have a chat, or if we can help them, support them, because that's what we do.
Yeah, of course. What a wonderful, I mean, it's like a wonderful community, a wonderful charity. Now, you spoke about, obviously, about Black men and men of colour that find it hard to open up. There's a lot of stigma, isn't there, in terms, especially like culturally, where they can't open up, or they don't feel they've got the space to do that. How do you feel it's changed since, obviously, since the BMC, but also since mental health has been of course, much more publicized and much more open, and and I guess more accessible?
It's a difficult question to answer, because I would like to have hoped that would have been the change. I can't actually say that there isn't, but it's not gone far enough, because ultimately, with men, any men, not just men of colour, they find it difficult to open up in general. Yes, and men who have different cultural backgrounds find it even harder to open up, especially when the only other person in their environment may be of the opposite sex, for example. Yeah, unless you're in a safe space, and you're suffering from mental health, because mental health is something you can't see; it's in there. If you saw me with a cast on my arm, you say, "Oh, Keith, what happened to you? How did?" And I say, "Oh, I fell over, whatever." But I could have so much going on in there, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
So, and if somebody's not an easy person to open up anyway, how are they going to communicate that? Hence why the BMC has been going so long, and we have so many people that come through our door.
Yeah.
And we've been able to help them in any day, even if they just come in to sit and listen and have a biscuit and a cup of tea.
Yeah.
To them, I've got one bloke. He started 2 years ago. He lives all the way over in is it Kensal Green or somewhere? Kensal Right.
Yeah.
And he comes all the way from there to Brixton in South London every single Monday, because this is the only space where he actually sees other people. He's 69 years old. He's at home on his own, and he comes all the way, come rain or shine. Even if he had one leg, he would still make it there, because to him it's powerful. That's a place where he can open up, get involved. At the beginning, he wouldn't even talk. He just would come and be very sort of introverted. And we don't pressure anybody. We do the activities, we talk about stuff. If you want to disclose any information, that's fine. If you don't want to disclose anything, that's fine. So there need to be more kind of, I would say, hubs or places where men can just go without feeling pressure or embarrassed to talk and open up about things that are going on in their mind. Because I say this, from when we are born, girls, or females I should say, are kind of raised with the Barbie dolls and prams and all the soft pink, all the lovely stuff. Where boys are
Yeah.
raised strictly around Action Man and cars that crash, all, so they're not, I just feel that they're not we're conditioned not to have emotion or not to show emotions. And when we do have emotions, how do we express our emotions in a way that is not coming across as aggressive, violent, or he's got a problem?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they're the things that I found that we happen. And that's one good thing about the BMCs. As I said, I do my best to try and break down those taboos, those subjects. I've got a plan. It's all about mental health. We will discuss about mental health in with whatever it may be. It's something that we're going to keep going. And
Definitely.
if we can save or support or help just one person, the BMC is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think, you've just mentioned it there, the way that we've been conditioned earlier on. I think now, well, now more than so, obviously, with newer generations, it's become a little bit less conditioned, or at least I'd hope to think it's a lot more less conditioned. But there are still things out there that are still conditioning us, even through social media, through certain things where, we're making comparisons, and even for those, obviously, and I'm obviously speaking on behalf of females as well. We've got certain pressures, and obviously men have got certain pressures that we're all kind of conditioned and trying to follow what this media is trying to show us. How do you feel, like, especially like now that with the BMC, where they do a lot of like theatre productions and all of that, how does it help in terms of, would you say that it's almost some sort of like some art therapy? Would you say that it really, in terms of kind of helping those that have joined the BMC?
Oh, most definitely. Like I said, Tony Seeley he's the creator and of the BMC, and his creative mind is, sometimes he always says the word, and we say it is now, trust the process.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
when he gets us to do certain things, at first you think, what is he talking about?
yeah,
But then when you actually get involved in it, you actually can understand what he's talking about, and you get yourself so submerged into yourself, and
mm,
your inner self comes out, and it is something that it's kind of like a trance, but in a good way. And he's so powerful in what he does, and he really is. And I can't sort of big him up even more than I can. But obviously, to watch his YouTube channel, he's got a website at BMC, Blackmen's Consortium.org.uk. But it is about mind therapy, and it
yeah,
works
yeah,
because everything we do is centered around our mind. Our
yeah,
mind controls our body, controls our emotions, controls how we speak, talk, walk, everything. And he has that sort of skill. And what we do when we do our shows, which is amazing, is we have audience participation. So, for
definitely.
example, we may act out a scene, two or
Mm,
three scenes,
mhm.
and then we get the audience involved in maybe the fourth scene, for example, and they can then decide what the fifth scene is going to be.
Yeah,
So we don't just do shows where we would do an hour and a half, and the audience will sit there and some may fall asleep. We say to them at the very beginning, we're doing our show, but you will be involved in it. You have a say in it.
yeah.
And that's what makes it also some different from all the other shows, theatres, musicals that I've done. This is completely different, and it's amazing.
That's brilliant. And I love the fact that you get the audience participation. So it's almost like you're all working together. And not only, obviously, is it helping the men that need it, maybe they need to get out, they need that camaraderie, they need that help, but also the participants, or like the audience, are feeling like they're part of it, they're part of this creativity. So yeah, it sounds amazing. I'm so excited. This is really, really good. Um, so, we spoke a little bit about the art side of it, and I definitely agree. Art is definitely therapy. I mean, the things you can throw yourself into, get involved. And also, it's like, these individuals could technically just be, either at home, just kind of stuck in their own, four walls kind of thing. But this is basically pushing them to go out, A, because they enjoy it, and B, they're getting a result from it as well. And that must feel so rewarding to just be part of it.
It is, and because I mean, from my perspective, I've never, and I'll say this, I hope nobody gets offended, but due to certain circumstances where I work, where I've been, everything else, I've not really engaged in a forum predominantly with one colour, as in men of colour.
Yeah.
Just haven't, for no reason, apart from socialising. So for me, when I first went, I'm sitting in a room with say 25 strangers, men of colour, and that wouldn't be something I would normally do. I've not done it before.
Yeah.
But because the way I'm able to always express myself in no matter what, whether I'm happy or sad, and knowing that I can disclose information that is stayed within the group. And also the support when my father died last year, the love and the support from all the men in the group was just, I can't really explain it. We hug each other.
Oh,
We don't just,
nice.
we will hug each other. We'll even embrace. We will even cry,
Good.
Yeah. And I've done a video just when my father died, because I was told when I was crying, because my father died, and other members of my family also passed away. It was like, why are you crying? And that's again the taboo, that men aren't allowed to cry.
Yeah,
Men aren't
exactly.
allowed to express themselves.
Yeah.
Then what we are doing is, what you're doing with men, you're putting them into a pressure cooker, because
Yeah.
ultimately they're going to explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've got to, no matter, we're human, men, women, whatever, we're all human, so we all got to express ourselves. So when I was crying, I was like told, you can't cry. That even enraged me even more.
Yeah.
And I don't see why I should apologise for being emotional.
Exactly. Well, I
I
mean,
don't see
you're
why.
absolutely right. Yeah.
And so to me, I'm actually very emotional. But I could watch a movie, and if there's a scene in there that is powerful, I'll just sit there and cry. And
You've
Joe, what? I'm
absolutely.
happy to cry,
Um,
because
you've
there
got
is
to embrace
nothing
the
wrong
tears.
with crying.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think,
So,
and just in terms of you explaining that vulnerability is so important, because it's so easy. And I guess really, from a female perspective, we always look at it from a point of view where, men tend to block their feelings, and then that's it, or like they've become harsh-hearted all of a sudden. And I think obviously they put that farce on, and you're like, but for what? Just be, if you were open and honest about it from day one, then there's a lot of things that a lot of problems probably could be halved, if not eradicated or minimized at least, because it's just about that openness to share. But like you said, going back to that conditioning, like apologizing for crying, or apologizing for for kind of sharing your feelings is definitely known as what it shouldn't be taboo, because you shouldn't have to apologize. You just embrace what you feel when, and share it. Absolutely. So let's move on to a little bit about you, Keith. So I've obviously worked with you on How It Is, and for those of you again that haven't watched the film, so Keith plays a character called Len, who is probably like this big shot. I mean, how would you describe Len, Keith, if you can remember that far back to like 3 years ago?
yeah, big shot guy dressed in a suit, drives a Mercedes, and throws money about.
Yeah, I remember that scene, that throwing of what was it, £10 or was it £20 that kept blowing in the wind? Absolutely. So yeah, so he was in the film, played Len Wilson, if I can even remember the character's name of my own film. And yeah, very big shot, kind of didn't have time for poor people or the homeless, if you see that famous scene. How did it feel, Keith, playing that role in particular, especially with all the philanthropic work that you're involved in, the community style based work that you're involved in? Was that quite uncomfortable for you? Did I throw you out your comfort zone?
Yeah, well, I suppose as an actor of many, many years, I'm used to doing this, that, and the other. But I think what because I worked also with homeless people,
Yeah.
um, yeah, in charity, I was the opposite. So when I see this man come up to me and he's grabbing my suit or whatever, and I'm like, I'm about to go somewhere, my nice, lovely Mercedes. um, I'm like, I could understand and sympathize with how people less fortunate than ourselves, i.e., poor people or beggars or homeless, when
Yeah.
they go out and come up to you and grab you or something, and you just think, oh, but you poor, I'll just give you £20, go away, whatever, or just, wipe your feet off them. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of looked at it like that was I was glad that I was playing the good role as opposed to the pauper role. But
Yeah.
to me, is something that is again it was something that I've been around, and i.e. within my work. So knowing that there are people like that who are less fortunate than ourselves
Yeah.
that are treated
Yeah.
sometimes appallingly, not appallingly, but they are, it made me understand the character that I was playing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
but
It
arrogant.
was it was good fun. It was good fun that day. Yeah, we definitely managed to get it done in time, so that was good. Excellent. So yes, I mean, obviously you're an actor as well, and also I was very interested to hear that you were the first Michael Jackson impersonator in '86. Is that correct? Did I get my facts right there?
Yes, she did. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Um,
Okay. So tell us about this. Like, if I mean, obviously this was like, 86 now. Let's think about that journey. I mean, how long did it take you to learn how to moonwalk?
well, basically, it happened all by accident. I was at school, and I had very short hair then, stuff like that. And then he just happened to be in with my mum was really into him before me because she was older, and Off the Wall and the Jacksons. So I just sort of got into it because he was in the charts with some music, and I was saying to my friend, "Let's do a Top of the Pops kind of thing at school in an assembly." Um, and so I hear that I was the only black person in the group that we were doing it for. So it goes, oh, right. So who's in the charts at the moment? Da, 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 da. Oh, Michael Jackson. You pick Michael Jackson. So at the time, it wasn't the moonwalk. So I learnt his sort of dancing. We did the show. It was kind of cool. And I just kind of got into him, just studying him a bit more. Not so much a fan then as such, but just studying him and stuff. And realizing that some people, I grew my hair a bit longer and I got a little Jerry curl there. I had hair then. And people used to say, "Oh, you look a bit like Michael Jackson." I'm like, "What are we talking about?" Bearing in mind, I was only 14. So I then entered, moving right forward, I entered into a talent show um, as Michael Jackson, and it was Halloween. So I wore the Thriller jacket
Oh,
and the red
nice.
trouser shoes. I didn't win the talent competition. However, I got a phone call from the BBC, and it was they invited me to go on a live television program with Noel Edmonds and
Oh,
John Craven and I think it was Sarah Green on Saturday Superstore.
oh my God.
I've never been I've never been in front of a live TV camera before, so it was like kind of crazy. Anyway, so I went on the program, done my Thriller dance, which was great, and was interviewed and that kind of stuff. And then that was it really. I thought that was it. Then a few weeks later, I got a phone call from a talent scout or an agent, and who would be my manager. And from there, I was just like whisked off and became Britain's first Michael Jackson impersonator, performing all over Britain and Europe for up to 15 years. It was just kind of crazy. There was no kind of training.
Oh,
Obviously, from then I studied every single thing about Michael Jackson. You name it, his
mm,
who's, ours, dows, his that, is just his mannerism, the clothes, had to get the clothes, same clothes. It was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity that Keith Preddy wouldn't have got, but
yeah.
Keith Preddy as Michael Jackson got to stay in hotels, got to travel in limousines, got to go on tour in Europe, and it was just like my son's even called Michael, by the way. I might,
Yeah.
but
So obviously you've kept yourself going in terms of your kind of like your talent in terms of acting, dancing as well, because you also dabble in street dancing, is it? And you actually have do you hold, is it a hold classes or am I getting Get more
Yeah, that's
flexible.
part.
Yeah.
I used to do,
Okay.
because obviously I've self-trained. So I
Yeah.
used to, when I was kind of like coming, because I retired from Michael Jackson, impersonating him and stuff in the year 2000, and
Mm.
decided to get a normal job, as one would say.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of work in schools. I became a chair of the governors. I became a chair of the PTA. So I was heavily involved in primary schools, secondary schools, and junior schools. And within that, especially if my children were at the school as well, I would teach dance lessons. So we used to teach dance lesson, contemporary jazz, freestyle, and then the children would also go on shows and do that all around London.
Yeah.
So that's where my sort of dancing ability comes in, not only to do it myself, but to also put it on to young children, because we had an after school club. So what do these children do after school? Rather than running around on the streets or going to the park, I
That's
set up
it.
a dance class. So they would come every Monday. They'll say we'd do shows. And did that for about 6, 7 years. So
Wow.
yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So I mean, so are you still doing that now, or is it something that you kind of, do as and when, or are you kind of more focused on the acting and the theatre stuff now?
Sadly, I haven't done talk dance for many years. I've got a amazing cousin called Chloe, Chloe Harper Hall. She runs a dance class in Eastbourne where she lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And I even used their dancers, her dancers, when I came out of retirement when Michael Jackson died. But the answer to your question is, at the moment now, it's just mainly focusing on my acting, and also my day-to-day life, working role as a supported housing officer and support worker.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and I think obviously with what you're doing with BMC, and also like with your role as a housing officer as well, I think that definitely does yeah, it kind of integrates really well because of, of the community that you're involved in, as well as the support that you're providing to others that basically need housing, and they need obviously that support in that. Would you say that in that sense, that you feel like, you're definitely kind of focused on serving your purpose in that kind of field?
Yeah, I think I was. Because the Michael Jackson thing, like I said, it was great, it was amazing. Prior to Michael Jackson, when I was 13 years old, I actually wanted to work in a nursery. I've always had a vision of working with children. That's prior to Michael Jackson. That got put on hold until 2003,
Yeah.
when I then actually started working in a family centre. And in 2008, I then went back to, or well, prior to that, I went back to college, got my MVQ level 3, and then I was qualified to work in a nursery and a creche with children. And that's where I started my support work, basically. And from there, I'm now a qualified support worker and housing officer. And my passion is helping people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and, it's not about the money, because support workers get paid
Yep.
basically rubbish money anyway. So our support workers need more money. The government tell them that, right? So, but for me, when you go into a family setting and it's chaotic, and the parents, whether it's mum or dad, just need some support,
Yeah.
and then it could be 6 or 3 months before you can turn that family around. But
Mm.
ultimately, even if they make one step forward, to me that's success. But they just need that support, and I thoroughly enjoy an extremely difficult and challenging role. I don't ask anything from it. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's nice when you get a thank you. Trust
Yeah.
me, it really is, and it's really nice when you see the change in a family because you've helped them. My point of my position as a support worker, despite what people think, is to keep families together.
That's right.
There is
Yeah.
again that taboo that social services will take your children away. Do you know what? That does happen still, but under extreme circumstances. Extreme
Exactly.
circumstances.
Yeah.
It's not the 80s anymore, or the
Yeah.
70s. They have support workers like myself that
Mm.
go into a family setting
Yeah.
to work with the family. And sometimes I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I will go to a house at 7 o'clock in the morning to get the children ready for school. And then I'll come back after work, bring them back home again. Or I
Yeah.
go to work at the weekend to give children who've got disabilities respite, and the families. So it's a whole combination of things. And my job is to actually help and support the family where they need it, as opposed to bringing a family apart. So although it's a low paid job and it's long hours, and I've been spat at, I've been racially abused, I've been verbally abused, I've been attacked with a knife, you name it, all kinds of things, I
Mm.
still love my job.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's that reward, isn't it? And you know you're doing it for a purpose. It's making a difference. And I think that sometimes that gets lost in what we're doing. Obviously, everyone needs money to survive, and we do appreciate the finer things in life. But the idea here is about that the unconditional things that we do for each other. That is basically what makes the world go round. And this is what we need more of, and more people that are working in support type roles. And because a lot of families do feel like they're on their own, that they have to go through these struggles. And it could be the impact of mental health, it could be physical health, it could be anything that is impacting that family. And the more support we've got for each other to help each other through these like dark times, and these periods where we're going to need just that assistance. And I think it's also the part of saying we're not too proud to ask for assistance if we need it. And I think it goes that both ways. And obviously, and this is where that teamwork and that collaboration really works, and that's what makes a difference.
yes, definitely so. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people tend to blame COVID on everything nowadays.
Yeah.
But still, COVID did. Okay. So, for example, the children, yeah, when COVID kicked in, we had lockdown.
Yeah.
Children were used to going to school, but then stay at home. Part of my role as a support worker under social services was to actually still work with families during COVID,
Mm.
because you get children who are on a child in need or child protection plan. They still need to be protected regardless.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the difficult task there was gaining access to family units, because they would say, "Oh, COVID can't come near me." And at one point, I was like a doctor. I had gloves, I had shoes, I had an apron, I had a face shield as well as glasses and a
Wow.
face mask in order to
We
go.
couldn't basically see Keith at all because you were just covered with PPE.
I was Dr. Keith. But the point was to still go and gaining access into a very challenging environment where children were vulnerable. And I put my own health at risk to a degree, because during COVID, we didn't know what was going on. But my main aim was to make sure that these children were still safe, and also the parents were feeling supported, because they were then cases shut down, locked down, you can't go out. So there was no health services, there was no children's services, nursery shut down, school shut down, even the doctors, you couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you
exactly. I
were
remember.
mental health, and in a very vulnerable setting anyway, you can imagine how that escalated when you've got locked out.
Yeah.
Um, but so it's very difficult to support people, but that was my job to do that, and I continue to do that. And even going back to mental health again, because everything is shut down now, and not everyone, for example, is computer literate.
Yeah.
So to do face-to-face phone appointments with the doctor or whoever wasn't so easy as people make it out to be. So there's all those kind of obstacles and challenges, and children are now, from the reports that I've read and stuff, and stuff, is they've also suffered from mental health. CAMS, Children's Adult Mental Health Services, was struggling before COVID. So you
Yeah.
can imagine now your 12-year-old has got mental health and needs support, but the waiting list is about 12 months.
Yeah, and
It's,
if it can
it's
impact children, imagine what the impact is to adults as well. Just having that whole period of being locked down, which for some people it was a benefit because it changed working lives, but at the same time there was this element, well, we're not interacting as much. We're now coming inner, and then therefore our thoughts are racing more, and we're, overthinking or not thinking the right things, and not being busy enough, and all that. There's so many instances where this is obviously starting to impact. So if that obviously what kids were going through then and even before, and then we've got the same impact with adults, then this is where we're trying to kind of re-establish our grounds and re-establish the support network that we've got as well, and trying to keep that flex in terms of both when we're internal in our homes, as well as what we've got external to keep us grounded and keep us going.
Yeah, definitely so. And again, on the tail end of the BMC, we were approached by the NHS in Lambeth to do a pilot to do with the men's weight program. And that again, because weight management and dietary again is all to do with mental health. Yeah, how you eat and how you cook and how you manage yourself. So we actually got funding for the last 12 months, which finishes in April, but hopefully we're looking for more funding. And the Black Men's Consortium Weight Management Program centers around men in coming to they come to a free session. Again, it's free term time, and they get an hour's worth of free exercise, and then they get an hour's worth of free nutrition advice and support from a specialist. And again, that's another thing that the Men's Walk Talk, sorry, the BMC have branched out on to help me people, because how you eat, how you manage your weight, how you manage your body, and it help and affects your mental health, and about eating the right thing. And it's not about losing weight. As I said, the weight management is about managing your weight. Just because you see somebody that's maybe obese and 20 stone doesn't mean that they're unfit, doesn't mean that they're unhealthy. It could be a catalogue of things. It could be to do with their metabolism. It could be because they're eating because they're suffering from mental health. And you could have the flip side of somebody who, for example, is severely underweight and anorexic.
Yeah.
So, you can't just look at somebody and see that they're fat or skinny. So I can say that word. I've said it now, so I do apologize if I offended anyone. That they're not eating enough, or they eat too much. It's not as simple as that. There's a whole complex reason.
So much.
As to why.
Yeah, absolutely. So as part of that weight management program, is that where the men's walk and talk came from, or was that something that was separate and then you kind of merged it together? How did that come about? Because that was something that really pulled me in, because obviously I'd seen some of your TikToks about that, and I was talking about it to a lot of my friends, and I was saying, oh, this person that I know is on my film did this and this, and they're doing this men's walk and talk. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that and how people could get involved.
Okay, I'm going to big up the right people. Shaka Sumbe is the founder of Walk and Talk. I met Shaka at the BMC. He's also a BMC member.
Yeah.
So and he said to me at one point, he's a fitness therapist, keep fit. He does all that kind of stuff. Specialist, professional person. So if I haven't got his title right, I apologize, Shaka. Anyway, he said to me, I'm starting up this walk and talk thing on a Sunday in a park. Do you want to come? And I'm like, and I'm going to be very honest with everybody here now. I drive a car, I ride a motorbike, I'm lazy. So I don't do parks. So when he said to me about, do you want to do it?
Pass. Yeah.
I've walk around in the park. I've got what things to do. Anyway, I went along on the first Sunday, and I was actually blown away. We started in a park called Brockwell Park, which is in Tulsa in South London. And I've never seen the whole of that park before. I've never had any reason to. I don't live close. But about 15 men turned up, strangers, because I didn't know all of them. And what it is ultimately is a safe, vulnerable space. If you can see, vulnerability is our strength. And it's walking and talking, as simple as that. We're sitting down now talking, and we're not walking. So it's a place where we walk and talk through about 12,000 steps, 16,000 steps every week. And we have a check-in. So we have when people turn up, how are you doing? Your name, how are you feeling? What made you laugh? What made you cry? Then we'll go on a little walk, and then we'll stop, and we can be engaged in any kind of topic. And sometimes these topics are deep. And some of the topics, for example, could be, how was you raised by your parents from a different background when you were younger? To do with chastisement, for example. Yeah. There's certain subjects we talk about which can be quite challenging, to do with sexuality, your sexuality sort of thing, and your culture and background. So it just grew from there. We used to be every Sunday. We say used to be every Sunday. It still is every Sunday, but it was like every Sunday going on, and we've got funding. My job there is to engage with all the people that turn up, but I create all the videos. So my job is to do the interviews, do the videos, and when you see the videos, that's my work, by the way. I want to get plugged there. But seriously, I mean, again, it's one of those things. The BMC wasn't my comfort zone. I've not been around men of colour in a setting in Brixton before in my entire life.
Yeah.
I've not been walking around a park. My children are grown up. I don't have any dogs, sort of thing, or pets. So why do I need to go to a park? So again, walking and talking was not my thing. And since then, we now have 134 members, and it's been going now for we're in our fourth year now. And last year in September, we went on our first men's walk and talk retreat to the Isle of Wight.
Oh,
And
lovely. Yeah.
it was unbelievable. We had 25 individuals that have never spent more than 3 hours together,
Yeah.
living in a retreat, secluded a place away from. There was no drinking, no smoking, and no meat. And I'm not a vegetarian, so I was even introduced into vegetarian food. But on a serious note, we had gurus there that did meditation. We went on 4-hour walks. We had other seminars on our cultural history background. So we had professional facilitators that also were there to do their seminars, and it was absolutely. I can't even say how amazing it was. It was absolutely amazing, and I'm so grateful to be a part of that. So the men's walk and talk always happens at the weekend, and from the men's walk and talk, I've even been to my first black not musical, what's the word? Not musical, opera. That's it.
Opera.
So I've never been to an opera anyway before, but to go to a black opera in Soho was amazing. It's my third one now. So we branched out by doing the walk and talk on a Sunday. We'd end up going to other activities or events because Shaka used to get us events. Then we go to the museums. So it wasn't just about the park.
Yeah.
The British Museum, the Natural History Museum, and we go to other parks in and around London, North London, South London, East London. We go to even cemeteries to have conversations and stuff. So it's just what I'm saying is an understatement or underestimating the power of men's walk and talk. And again, I can only vouch that because it's not something I would normally do. I've never done it before. I'm not a walker, and yet every Sunday, come rain or shine, I'm up, I'm out, I'm there by 9:30 in the morning, wherever it may be. Got the camera ready, got my clothes on. Oh, here we go. Let's walk and talk.
Yeah.
And we walk and talk. So walk and talk's on a Sunday. The BMC Black Men's Consortium's on a Monday, and now it's been changed to a Thursday with the weight management program. And anybody could attend. And these are all free events, so you don't have to exchange any part of any money. It's free events. Yeah, it's amazing. Trust me. Really.
To me, this is like a breath, a breath of fresh air just to hear all of the work that's being done and how much it's opened your mind. It's not just opened other people, for Keith, it's opened you up. Do you know what I mean? Like that impact, and going to your first opera, going to so many different events, walking. It's a huge deal if you don't like walking, especially on a Sunday. So is it a Sunday morning that you do it?
Yes, we tried doing it on a Saturday, but we found that, so especially people who work Monday to Friday, Saturday was maybe shopping day or whatever. So
exactly. Sunday's probably the best.
Yeah. The only downside for me is that it clashed with church. So, but the Lord knows that I can pray anywhere as such. So when I'm not doing the walk and talk, then I'm at church. But Sunday was the best day really to suit the majority. And we do it early. We do it early, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So by 2 o'clock at the latest, you can go off and do whatever you want to do. But again, with the walk and talk, it's open door. So you can come for an hour. Some people just come for the check-in.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and then they'll give me, and then they'll go off. But we get people. We have our furthest one at the moment comes away from Birmingham.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what time he gets up in the morning to get the train from Birmingham down to London to do 3-hour, 4-hour walk and talk, and then get a train back. Now, that in itself is commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just that commitment to feel good. And I think that, and they're putting themselves first. So for me, you know, yes, okay, it's a trek from Birmingham, but in order for you to get that camaraderie that you would have with basically like your brothers, as well as being able to feel better about yourselves, to have, you know, maybe even start thinking about, I don't know, an action plan for the week before the next one. And, you know, just in terms of that psychological health, I think, you know, why not just do it? Because at the end of the day, he's going to have a lot more to gain from that than if he just stayed at home or went elsewhere that day. Yeah, absolutely.
So I just mention one last other
Well,
thing.
of course you can. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, One other thing about the walk and talk is we do discuss things in a more powerful way, in a sense of health. And I'm an advocate for prostate cancer. My uncle basically, gosh, 7 years ago, was involved in an accident, and while he was in surgery, they found out that he had prostate cancer, and that actually saved his life. The accident that he had saved his life, believe it or not, because if he hadn't had that accident, he would have known that he had prostate cancer, and maybe when he did find out, it would have been too late. And I thank the Lord that he's fine. He's here today. I'm so grateful. So from there, I signed up with the Royal Marsden, kind of like as a research, because we need more men of colour to sales forward. And I put myself forward 7 years ago to have all the tests done. I've had everything, the dye going through the body. I've been in the machine. I've had bloods and everything. And I go around talking about it a lot because, again, it's another thing that men that talk about because of that kind of, not say stigma, but the uncomfortableness of the finger in the rectum, as one would say. And men will definitely, it's not happening. So I said, well, so would you rather than be diagnosed with it and at a later stage, as opposed to having an internal examination which lasts 30 seconds?
Exactly.
So part of the men's walk and talk, we discuss things like that. And one of our fellow members last year, through us talking about it, went and had, we call them an MOT check, like you do your car every year, and he had prostate cancer. Thankfully, it was caught at an early stage. He still had to have surgery and be out of action for about 2 or 3 months. And I saw him 2 weeks ago, and that was the last time I saw him, but I've seen him prior to that anyway. And again, he thanks the group, because without the group discussing it, and other members, including myself and a very dear friend of mine, other members would not have even got themselves checked for whatever reason. So on a serious note, although it's fun that we do discuss and promote about getting yourself checked. You're entitled to an examination. It's a blood test. Most things can do about blood tests. So we constantly tell members to get themselves checked out, because it's so important. If you value your life, it's a simple blood test. I mean, on a sad note, I might get a bit emotional now, because a very dear friend of ours, his name, I say is, not was, Henderson Williams, and I met him on the very first walk and talk, believe it or not. Unfortunately, he was due to come out with us on our first men's walk and talk on the 7th of September of last year, and sadly, he passed away. And it was really sudden. He was in hospital the week before. Thumbs up, yeah, you're going to come out. And I got the phone call. I just arrived at the ferry to get on the ferry, and I got the phone call saying he passed away. It was very, 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 very sad, because he was a really good man, and someone I'd grown really fond to. And I only met him through the walk and talk, and it was sad that somebody who can just, and it happens, people do die very suddenly, and we sincerely miss him, and we did dedicate our walk and talk retreat to Henderson Williams, and he'll always be missed with us. But yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the importance of what you're doing. You're acknowledging, you're sharing information, you're bonding, and it's these special moments and these, you might have never have met, but just doing this one thing has brought this, brought you basically had a brother, and unfortunately, obviously, there, a tragedy happened, but look at the memories that you've got with him and the significance it's had, and the impact it's had on all of you as well to actually create that bond, and it's probably brought you closer together, and I'm sure he's very proud of all of you. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. I mean, Keith, I could talk to you all day. There's so much I want to dig into, honestly. I just absolutely find it amazing in terms of what the BMC are doing, what you do, your background, just the things that we're talking about. Our topics are so could go on forever, but obviously we've only got a limitation on how long we can talk on this show. Is there any, I mean, where can we find out more about the BMC? If there's anyone listening that wants to get involved or wants to volunteer, or even, you want to attend a Monday evening or a Thursday session at the BMC, where can they find more information?
Okay, right. So the Black Men's Consortium, or BMC, is held at the Mosaic Hall in Effa Road. It's in Brixton.
Yep.
And that's a place where we go on a Monday. On a Tuesday, we just moved. Sorry, on a Thursday, we just moved location, which is now at the West North Hall. But what I'll do is I'll send you the links so you may be able to put them up. And Walk and Talk is basically every week we meet at different places. So I don't know where we're going to be meeting on Sunday just yet. But that's but you can still, once you tap in, once you touch base with Shaka, the facilitator and organizer, and you sign up, he then sends out all the information of where we're going to be. So yeah, in relation to the BMC, it's in Brixton, the weight measure program West Norwood, and Walk and Talk can be anywhere in and around the out of London.
Excellent, love it. And also, where can we find out more about you, Keith? Because I'm sure there's going to be people that want to see your videos, especially TikTok. You do such amazing content. So, where can we follow you?
You can follow me on social media, which will be Facebook, Keith Sharmone Preddie, and Sharmone is spelled Sharmon with an E on the end. So I'm on TikTok as Keith Sharmone Preddie. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. The only one I don't do is the X, which used to be Twitter, because I need some sleep.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Keith. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you for such an in-depth interview with so much information that can help men out there that are looking to reach out. Thanks once again.
Oh, one last thing.
Yeah.
I've also got a website called sufferinsilence.org.uk, and I created that basically around supporting men and women, mental health, domestic violence, all kinds of things. So if anybody wants any free information to do with, it could be suicide ideation, could do with substance misuse, that's my sort of website, which is free, and it's called www.sufferinsilence.org.uk.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Keith. I look forward to speaking to you more about this again.
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving me this platform. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed the show. For more content on social media, don't forget to follow at Mel Hurry Films on Instagram, or you can email me at themelhurry@gmail.com. Take care. Bye.